Hello everyone, Intuitive Edge here. So I've had some questions on some of my videos about whether I would be interested in teaching tarot or giving out some information on the cards and kind of what they mean. And so I want to touch on a little bit about what got me interested in tarot and my understanding of kind of the origins and why I kind of chose this path. So I'm going to hopefully answer some questions in this regard and kind of go over some of the meanings that I understand them to be. Okay. So I guess the first question to ask for somebody who is wanting to learn to read the tarot cards or to understand what tarot is, to understand what tarot is. Now, tarot is, nobody's actually sure, according to what I've studied and read, nobody knows exactly when tarot got started or exactly where it originated. There's different schools of thought on that. But what I understand is that tarot is a pictorial representation of the hero's journey. Now I'll explain that in a moment. So tarot is an occulted tradition. Now occult, for those that might be triggered by that word, simply means hidden. It's hiding, it's knowledge that has been hidden. Now there's different reasons that people hide knowledge and wisdom. If you think about back in medieval times or even beyond that, knowledge and wisdom often was reserved for the elites and for people who had power and wealth, and peasants were often just illiterate, and the common person didn't have the means to understand or to learn. They weren't given the opportunity or the tools to be able to learn. And so a lot of the wisdom of life, teachings that oddly enough correspond with natural law, a lot of these were hidden from the masses, from the public. And so only the privileged got to go to the types of schools like the mystery schools that would teach these types of things. So, but what I mean by the hero's journey, so you may hear some talk of the hero's journey. My understanding is that the hero's journey is a representation of the soul's evolution through life. So we think of when we come into this earth, and we're born into this earth, and there's all that unlimited possibility as to what we will be when we grow up. And then life's challenges come along, and emotions and relationships and things, and we learn and we grow. And each stage of life that we encounter is part of the hero's journey. And there's different milestones that we go through as part of life here on this planet. When I look at the tarot, to me, tarot is a pictorial representation of that hero's journey. It is a representation, what I should say is the major arcana. So let me back up and break this down a little bit. The tarot itself, the deck is made up of 78 cards. 22 of those cards are called major arcana. Now, the major arcana are what I refer to as the hero's journey cards. They are the cards that represent milestones, important events, important things to pay attention to, especially in a reading. But these represent the important parts of life. So, for instance, it starts out with the 0 card, and that's called the Fool. And the Fool is starting out on the hero's journey. It's that soul coming into this earth, the newness, the concept of something brand new. We're starting out, and all the different layers that we go through. We have you know, the power structure, the control. There's the intuition, the wisdom, the loving empress, the emperor. You've got the strength card. You've got the temptation, symbolized by the devil card. Tower, when things, you know, catastrophes, things happen in life that maybe alter or change our life path, represented by the death card, things that are transformative in nature. So each piece of life is represented by the tarot cards. So that is why in a reading, for instance, when a card like that comes up, you have kind of an understanding based on what we understand about the hero's journey and about our soul's progress. We can say, oh, okay, this card is representative of these types of events. And so that's how you can kind of gauge what you're doing in a reading and kind of understand from there. Now, the rest of the tarot deck, the other 56 cards, are similar to the regular playing deck. You have your diamonds, your spades, your clubs, and your hearts. And these are similar in tarot. We call them different things. But think of them as relating to the elements of earth, air, water, and fire. So, for instance, we'll start with hearts in the regular tarot deck is represented by water and cups. So cups in the tarot deck. Regular playing deck, we have diamonds. Diamonds are represented by coins or pentacles in the tarot. And we have the clubs, which is represented by the wands in the tarot, and the spades, represented by the swords. Now, each of those have a value to them. So, for instance, cups, the value for them is emotion, what we're feeling, kind of what we feel, what we emote. And pentacles, values. Wands are activity and creative energy. And swords is like the mind and control. And health can represent different facets of that as well. And then, of course, there's the pages and the knights and the queens and the kings. For someone who wants to learn tarot, what I did, and I guess I'll just speak from my own experience, because there's lots of different ways to learn tarot. It's not, I don't think there's any one specific way. You know, there may be some ways better than others. I just kind of found what worked for me. But what I did was I went to a local bookstore and I found some books on it. And I kind of read through and picked out which book I thought might help me the most. And it was kind of like Tarot for Beginners. I don't remember exactly the name of the book, but so I took that home and I read it and just kind of got the feel for what the cards represented. And then I did what I think some other people have recommended too, is to buy a deck and spend some time with that deck. The best way is just by practice. For me, that's what I've found. Just practice with the tarot. One way to learn the cards and kind of understand them is to do like a pull one card for the day. So, for instance, you get up in the morning and you sit down with the cards and you shuffle and you think about your day and maybe give thanks or gratitude. Shuffle the cards and just ask your own inner wisdom for what card would represent for you what you need to know for that day, or what you might be dealing with that day, and then draw a card. You know, you can shuffle up, cut the deck, take the top card, and that's your card for the day. And then you can kind of reflect on that as you go throughout your day and see kind of how that card played in with your day. Say, oh, okay, well, I was dealing with such an issue all day long, and okay, I can see how the card I drew kind of maybe relates to that. So that's one way to really personalize your cards. One thing I want to mention here is that the tarot cards, they don't have any intrinsic power of their own. The cards are simply tools to help you access your own inner wisdom. So it's not something outside of yourself that you're needing to go get, or needing to understand, but it's not something that you don't already have. Tarot is simply helping you access your own intuition, your own inner wisdom, and it's just helping you see things maybe that you hadn't seen before, or in ways you hadn't seen before. So as you work with tarot, you may find, as a lot of people do, that it helps you become more in tune with intuition, with psychic ability possibly, but it helps you maybe learn to see things and understand things from a perspective of the bigger picture. What's really going on today in my life? And you start to get wisdom and insight on those. So that's my best advice, is find a good book or two. I think I read 2 or 3 different books on learning tarot and tried to get different points of view from different authors and different perspectives. But the bottom line is at least for me, is you're just going to have to do it. You just have to jump in and see, where it takes you and where it leads you. But if you're interested in learning, I think that's what I would recommend. But I may do some more, maybe some teaching or helping a little bit more with understanding the tarot. But I kind of wanted to give a little bit of an insight on where I started. One more thing is, people say, well, what deck? What deck do I use? Well, that's really a personal choice too. There's lots of different decks out there. For beginners, I think some people would recommend starting out with, there's kind of a universal deck that everybody that is a tarot reader has heard of or knows about, and it's called the Rider-Waite deck. And the artist was Pamela Coleman Smith. And these cards they're kind of like universal. Everybody understands and knows them, and most people do that study tarot. They're kind of like the deck, the go-to deck. So that's a great place to learn, because you'll kind of get familiar with the different cards in terms of like the different suits, so to speak, the wands, the coins, the cups, pentacles, and swords. So anyway, so those are some of my thoughts. I hope this helped, and I hope you are interested in learning tarot. Like I said, it's a representation of our soul's journey on this planet, and it can be used for good, for helping to gain wisdom and insight and understanding when faced with challenges and difficulties that might be hard for the mind to comprehend when you're going through stuff. Sometimes just getting that bigger picture and hearing that inner wisdom can help maybe alleviate stress and help bring understanding to a situation. So anyway, I hope that helps. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a question in the comments, and I'll try to see if I can address those. But the main thing, just jump in and learn. It's kind of sink or swim. So anyway, I hope this helps. Take care, everyone. We'll catch you next time. This is Intuitive Edge. Bye-bye.